If you want to know the story, I have a tramp stamp on my butt.
Nice.
Hi, this is Luke from Happy Second. I recently did a podcast with a Twitch streamer by the name of Bulthizarro. This is the pilot episode of the podcast, so be sure to tell us what you think because we are open to making changes so that we can eventually have a beautiful podcast for all of your beautiful ears. Also, be sure to check out Bulthizarro's social media. It will be linked next to mine in the description down below. Just leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And tell me what you think of Balthazar's beard. Was it luscious? Did it make you want to cry?
So we are having a bit of a slow start, but we will start like a proper intro here in a sec for you guys. Don't worry about it. We just got to get everything working together. There's a reason that this is the pilot. This is the pilot episode.
I think while my Twitch is deciding to give me back my account because I have to reset my password.
Oh, beautiful.
While we're doing that, I think we can get started.
Okay, well, let's get started with the introduction. For anyone who's here so far, and for anyone who's listening to the or listening to the podcast as an afterburn, I guess we could say. Welcome. This is the Untitled Gaming Podcast. The name is in workshop. We will see if we stick with that or if we change it at some point in time. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're beginning a podcast where we talk about tech, games, and any news we find interesting or related to our field of expertise. I'm Bulthizarro. We got with us Happy's Tech Hut.
Luke from Happy's Tech Hut.
Luke from Happy's Tech Hut. There we go. Okay, sorry, my bad. That one's on me. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about any random topics. If you are in the live stream and sitting in the chat, you guys are more than welcome to send through messages. If it is something interesting that we think might be something cool to talk about, we'll definitely talk about it. Or if it's anything you're saying about the topic that we're currently discussing that might be an interesting point to bring up, we can bring that up as well. So feel free to send your messages through. It's all right. We are watching.
Or at least one of us is.
At least one of us is. we'll get there. We'll both be on there soon. Don't worry about it. Now we do have a couple interesting topics for today's podcast. I'm quite excited. I'm very interested to see how today goes. How are you feeling about today, Luke?
I felt great this morning, and now that I'm doing it, it feels awkward because you've never done it before.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing to try and get used to. I think I'm a little more fortunate in the sense that I've been doing live streaming and stuff for a little while, so I'm used to just sort of talking and engaging things. But don't worry, I got you, boo. We'll get this. We'll get there.
There is a reason that I started out with videos and I didn't decide to do anything live until now.
100%. I get you. Yeah, dude, I get you 100%.
Okay, so should we go into the first topic of Enlisted as the new Battlefield?
100%. So how are we gonna start this? So basically, this new game's popped up everywhere, and I'm pretty sure at least some of you have heard about it. This game called Enlisted. It's been pretty cool and pretty interesting. It's a free to play game. It's based on true battles from World War II, so it's pretty cool to like the old true battlefield. It's quite awesome. I feel like I'm just fanboying for this or fangirling for this game quite a bit, but it is a very interesting take on the genre. It feels like it's pulling back to the good old like Battlefield roots in terms of the gameplay and everything.
But have you played it?
Oh, I've got about 70 hours in the game so far. I've been enjoying it a bit. I actually have.
The one reason I haven't tried it.
What would that be?
Because everyone I've heard has compared it to COD or Battlefield.
Oh.
And I've just been so exhausted with COD and Battlefield ever since I think Battlefield 3.
Yeah, 100%. That's fair.
The last COD I enjoyed, I think, was Black Ops 1, and that was just the zombies. Before that, the only one I actually enjoyed the actual COD gameplay of was Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
And then Battlefield, it was Battlefield 3. Like, I tried Battlefield 4 on my brother's Xbox, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to get this on PC. It feels too samey.
I get you. I've definitely felt that. I've 100% felt that with Call of Duty. For me, the last good Call of Duty was Black Ops 1, and even then, again, like with you, the story wasn't it for me. It was the zombies in Black Ops 1, and that's sort of where Call of Duty died for me there. All the other games since then, I've tried them, I've messed around with them here and there, but they're not really anything that engages me and captivates me and makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this is a great game.
I did enjoy Warzone though.
Warzone?
Like I've got a video on my channel actually
Yeah.
of me playing a bit of Warzone. But the problem with Warzone is, I think once I reached 10 hours between the large updates, it taking up way too much time, too much space on my PC, especially for a game I can only really see myself playing like once a week.
Yeah.
It's just like, nah, it's not worth keeping on my PC.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Like, I think that might be one of our other topics is the size of games and all that sort of shit. But we can definitely go into that just now. It's like Call of Duty is a very, very big game, and for people that are just playing one aspect of it, not the campaign or the regular multiplayer online, just for the Warzone, that battle royale, you've got to have the whole game on your PC, which doesn't make sense to me. For me personally, with Warzone, I didn't enjoy it that much because I got involved in the boom of Apex very early when it first came out. Like on release day, I was there. I downloaded that shit, and when it went live, I was there. I was part of that first couple 100,000 people that hit play and went nuts. For Apex for me very much like shook up the whole battle royale genre because it was PUBG, Fortnite, that sort of shit. I didn't very much enjoy those games. So when I remember what was the one before Warzone? Call of Duty attempted a battle royale before Warzone.
They did.
That was in Black Ops. They had I can't remember what it was called, but they had a battle royale in their Black Ops release. I think it was Black Ops 3. They had a battle royale for that, but that one failed heavily.
Well,
And
if I haven't heard of it, probably because it did.
yeah, dude, it failed pretty freaking heavily. It was quite depressing because it was actually kind of fun. But we've gone very much off topic here with we started with the
you said it was nice because it goes back to the roots, like the older games. Do you think, and this is going to link back to one of our later topics, do you think it is worth remastering an old COD or an old Battlefield? Because if Enlisted is doing so well and it makes you think of old COD and old Battlefield, does that mean there is a nice hunger out there for it?
I definitely think the player base is there. I definitely think that people do want to play something like that, and I think a remaster of some of the old CODs would be awesome. For example, a little while ago, probably a good couple months ago, I had a LAN with my friends at my place. I had 3 friends over, and we had a little local LAN. And every single time we have one of our LANs, we always go back to which one was it? It's one of the Call of Duties, but the Modern Warfare side. I think it was Modern Warfare 2. We'd always go back and play that one for that multiplayer. Because we always just really, really enjoy that multiplayer. Now, if they were to... I think they did remaster Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3. I can't remember which one they remastered.
1 and 2 have been remastered.
They have? Okay.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like if they could... For me personally, at least, if they could remaster, like... the Black Ops 1. I would love to replay through those zombies with friends and just sink a good amount of hours into good old Black Ops zombies. I think that would definitely be fun.
I wouldn't like anything from Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play a remaster of. Because that's when they reach their sort of like their current formula.
Yeah.
With the movement and the gunplay all sort of started feeling what is the current idea of Call of Duty. If they went and remastered like Call of Duty 2 or 3, or if they go back to like Medal of Honor Pacific Assault, Medal of Honor Airborne. I recently replayed Medal of Honor Airborne, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
why did I stop playing that? Like, this game is so much fun.
Yeah.
Like those games, I would jump for a remaster.
I agree with you there. I remember playing I can't remember which Medal of Honor it was, but I have very good fond memories of going over to my friend's house, and on the good old PS2, we would play some Medal of Honor against each other. We'd hop onto, there was the boat map, and we'd hop onto there and we'd just start popping off at each other. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I would definitely love to see a remaster or something like that. I definitely think so.
I don't remember the boat map.
I can't remember which Medal of Honor it was.
Like the storage containers.
It's possible. Look, my memory is pretty hazy, but you know. But yeah, so basically, we've very much jumped off the topic.
I think we're sort of on topic.
We're sort of on point, but we're down an interesting avenue. So
yeah.
with Enlisted, it's trying not to advertise for the game here and trying not to be like, well, you know, go play this game. But like with the new Enlisted, it's sort of you jump into these World War II scenarios where it's things like the invasion of Normandy, where they were storming the beaches, and you can fight as either side, the Axis, the Allies, and it gives you an interesting perspective of the time, but it's just a lot of fun to fight your way through these kinds of maps. And the nice thing about it is it takes a very interesting take on how you do the multiplayer play. So each server generally has about 40 people, and you as an individual person, you will go in with a squad. So like how Battlefield did their squad management system, you could say ping here, go do this, go do that, we need to push this sort of thing.
Squad mechanics.
So what Enlisted does is they put you in a squad of between 3 and 8 other people, depending on how many people you've got in your little squad that you set up before the game, and each of those squad members are AI. And every time you get taken out as whichever person you are, you have the option to take over any of those AI and play as that person in your squad. So you're going to control this little squad of AI and have basically multiple respawns in each individual squad. But as a game where you're taking out other people, it does make it a little bit more enjoyable in the sense that there are those easy kills, those easy pop-offs that you can take. There's those easy kills that you can get because it's AI running around. And it is, granted, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine to go and torture one person, wipe out his entire squad, then take him out, just so he has to reset. But basically all you do is you set up these multiple squads. You can load them up with personnel, and you can load them up with different weaponry and stuff, change their ranking and all that. And then you can use those individual squads in the game. And you use those squads to push forward for points, for capturing things, that sort of thing. And it's just a very interesting take on the large open multiplayer game.
But do those AI, because an AI squad, the first thing I think when someone tells me there's an AI squad is shit. Because that AI is going to do something stupid or run out and die before I can make any good use of them. So
I get you.
Did they do something to stop that from happening?
Yeah, 100%. So I understand where you're coming from. Look, definitely, it's at the end of the day, it's still AI. It's not going to be moving like people who have been playing games all their life. They are decent enough that you could rely on them to hold a point with you while you're trying to fight off some people. But not in the sense that you could rely on them to entirely push a point on their own, or infiltrate another squad on their own entirely. It is definitely something where you as a player have advantage over the AI, but they are still decent enough. Like me myself, I've been taken out by AI plenty of times. So they are definitely decent enough to hold their own. But it's not exactly like you're going up against god tier AI,
Well, I think it will be a bigger thing that you don't want them to do something stupid. So if you are going to respawn and take over an AI, it's not going to be like the bots in Counter-Strike when they used to have the bots appear when a guy leaves your team competitive. Because those bots would do stupid things. Sometimes you tell them to stay put and they just rush site and then die. And you'd be like, well, now I can't control the bot when I die now, or when my teammate dies.
Yeah.
So I think that to me would be the biggest gripe.
It's So I feel like they definitely do combat that sort of feeling of, oh gosh, that bot's useless because you've got so many of them at your disposal. Um, but I wouldn't say they're definitely better than like the hard AI in CS:GO. They're definitely able to hold their own a little bit better than the hard AI in CS:GO. And I know that's not much of a distinction there, but well, much of a level of I'm not thinking the word here.
Intelligence.
Yes. um, but they're not trash, and they're not like too difficult to fight, sort of thing.
Okay, fair enough. So let's go on to the next topic now.
Okay.
Uh, this one is one of the ones that I put up. Uh, Video games as a storytelling medium. So
Mm.
my big thing is it's something I've been debating a lot recently, and I've written script upon script upon script of video of this without getting to any sort of conclusion that I can stick behind for a video.
Yeah.
um, should video games be seen more as a good medium for storytelling as opposed to something we just do for enjoyment? Because there's a big argument out there that video games are art, one that I agree with quite a lot, because it tells a story, there's expression, there are different sort of messages that are held out. Some of them are just mindless fun with no sort of intention behind them.
Mm.
But should we be viewing video games as a storytelling medium on the way that we view movies and poetry and music as a medium to tell stories?
It's I definitely think that it should that we can 100% use it as a storytelling medium. Like you get those games which absolutely captivate you and they pull you into the story. It may not be a realistic story or something that like something of historical value, but I've definitely had games that have like pulled me in and made me feel a part of their game. A good example for me, one of the games that like really got me into gaming was Dishonored. I absolutely loved the story behind it and the way the game played out because I felt like I was actually the character that was running around doing all the stuff. I felt like I was very drawn into the story. So I feel like it definitely is and can be a very, very good storytelling medium, but it also very strongly depends on how it's implemented. For example, you get some games where the story can either make or break the game for you. It'll also depend on you as a person playing the game. You could agree with the story, you could disagree with the story, you could like the way it's playing out or dislike the way it's playing out. Like you get some games that are guided on rails, and you get some games that are like your decisions impact the end goal. Like with Dishonored, your decisions impact it, whereas something like Assassin's Creed, it's very much on rails. It's still a very good storyline, but it's on rails where no matter what you do, either way, you're still going to end up doing this, this, and this. Um, so it's very. It definitely depends on how the player is willing to play their game and how well the story is implemented. But I definitely do think that games could be a very good use for a storytelling medium.
I think Dishonored was probably the one of the best examples you could come up with. Because if I was going to pick two examples to show it from different aspects, I would pick Mass Effect, the Mass Effect trilogy,
100%.
and Dishonored. And I think Assassin's Creed is also a very good parallel because Dishonored, it's a well-written story and like the characters are there and the voice acting is there, but they manage to tell their story and immerse you
Mm,
all through the actual world. So the world tells more of a story than most games and even
yeah.
movies. I find most movies are more likely to rely on good dialogue and good, like, decent story to base it on, and your actors especially. Whereas a game like Dishonored, it's fantastic because your decisions, like you said, they affect the world,
Mm,
but how they affect the world is told through the stories. There are more bodies, more rats, or less bodies. The lighting in all the levels changes. Especially, I think there's one where you're going over a bridge and avoiding the Tesla coils.
yeah.
And I remember that was the one map I could see the biggest difference through when I replayed the game, but going through a
Mm.
completely different path.
Oh yeah,
And I think
100%.
absolutely fantastic because you can see there's a lot more to it, and it tells stories in a way that movies just don't. Whereas you get ones like Mass Effect where they rely so heavily on the actual characters. It's the exact opposite of Dishonored, and it's more like a movie, but because you have more of a role in that movie, you are far more immersed in a game like Mass Effect than you are in watching a movie like, say, The Avengers.
Mm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That would be the most advantageous part of using a game as a storytelling medium. Where movies, yeah, it's enjoyable. You can get sucked into a movie and just go completely brain dead and just absorb the movie. But like you said, when you're watching a movie or reading a book, you are the spectator. Like one way or another, you are the spectator. You have no control over the outcome unless it's one of those guided things like on Netflix with I can't remember the movie. Anyway, and like with games as a storytelling medium, because you are impacting the game, because you are making decisions in the game, and you are doing things with the game, you are actively interacting with it and affecting what's going on. It definitely can pull you into the story a hell of a lot more, and you can feel involved with the story. You can feel a part of it.
Does the chat have any input on this? Because I feel like this is a very, very rich topic for
This,
the right kind of person.
yeah, exactly. So we got anyone in chat who's interested in weighing in on this? I see Astra, you did send a message there. What distinguishes art from what is not art, and that's a very intense topic on its own. I think if we have the time, we will definitely get to that.
Banana duct tape to a wall is not art.
There's a funny thing. I saw a thing on Reddit where a guy walked into an art museum. He took his glasses off, folded them, and he put them in the corner right by the wall. And people walked up to it and took photos with it. It's like, you know, I feel like there definitely is, it very much depends on the person who's looking at it. But this is a very in-depth topic that we do need to spend a whole segment on its own.
Entire half a podcast.
Yeah, easily.
And I think that's something we should, if we do that, we should try to get one or two more opinions on it. Put 4 faces on our screens, so they get to look at 4 ugly mugs, not just
Oh yeah,
2.
exactly. We should definitely get more people in for the podcast.
Is there anything else that anyone wants to put on that? Or should we just hop on to the next topic?
Yeah, does anyone want to weigh in? Seems we got a couple crickets in the audience tonight.
Cool.
I think we should move on.
Next topic. This is one of yours.
Yes.
One that I'm actually surprised I have a lot to say about. Battlefield 6. What are we hoping for? What do we think it'll be?
You want to start off here, or should I?
You go.
Okay, cool. So with Battlefield 6, there's been a lot of rumors rooming around. There's been a lot of talk about Battlefield 6, at least since like 4 or 5 months after Battlefield 5 was released. For me, or Battlefield 1, sorry. For me personally, I didn't enjoy Battlefield 1. So I'm very interested to see what they do with Battlefield 6, but from what I've seen, what a lot of people have said, they and at least from what the developers have said, they said that they're going to go back to their roots. They're going to go back to the original. And I really, really hope that to be true, because I would love to see a current gen version of like Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3. I'd love to see a modern version of that.
Yeah, so you see, what my problem is I look at this and I'm like, that sounds familiar. Didn't they say the same thing about what Halo Infinite's going to be? And now Halo Infinite has generated a lot of hype. I haven't seen this much hype for a Halo game since like Halo 3.
Yeah.
But because of that, I'm like, are they maybe riding on that hype? And I'm getting a little concerned. Are you just doing that because Halo's generating hype, or is it because you have a couple developers with ideas that go along with this and they're passionate about it so they can pump out a good game?
Yeah.
And then my next thing is, I'm sick of having fatigue with Call of Duty and Battlefield. I want Medal of Honor to come back.
Yeah.
I want old style games. So I get a little excited about it. But what I'm hoping more for is something just to set it apart. I'm like I said earlier, I've got fatigue with all of these first-person shooter games. They just these military simulators just don't feel as original and as exciting as they used to for me.
Yeah.
What I want them just to do something, maybe back to their roots, yeah, but just turn it on its head. Give me something wild.
Yeah, something
Have an
fresh.
alien show up halfway through the game and just confuse the crap out of me. Just do it. Do something different. I'm sick of being tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like games lately have been feeling like it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I 100% agree with you there. Like there are some things that still excite me a little bit. Like we were talking about Enlisted earlier. That was that's a fun thing for me. But like I 100% agree with you there that we do need something fresh. We need something new. And that was like for me with Apex, that was why it was such a big thing for me. It was something completely different. It was an interesting new take on Battle Royale. Like, yeah, it was still Battle Royale, but it was a whole new interesting take. It was extremely arcadey, fast-paced and all that. So it was quite different from the way everything else was playing out. With... Sorry.
You want to pop out in because I disagree with you.
Okay, yeah, go.
So, like, I agree that we need something fresh and new with this segment of the gaming market, but games have not all been the same. Damn it, there's a new game. They're advertising on the Steam store. Kina, Bridge of Spirits. That looks like it's going to be very, very different. I'm currently downloading the free game on Epic now. Pine.
Yeah.
This week. That I'm very excited for because it looks very, very different. There have been a lot of games that have been new on ideas. I think it's just that one segment of the market. They're like, we're making money, we must bank off of it, and they're just not evolving. I don't see it as long-term sustainable for that genre, for that segment of the market.
Yeah.
I think they've adopted that attitude of quick buck, whereas the old games, like leading up to say Call of Duty 4 and Battlefield 3, they were innovating quite a lot.
Yeah,
and I feel
100%.
like that's where the issue is, and that's why I want Battlefield 6 to be different. I want Battlefield 6 just to throw me off and go, you know what, this is nothing like the others. I'm buying it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Like something. Okay, so for me personally, I'm very heavily linked to the first-person shooter genre. I have been for a while. That's just my kind of game. Like, I enjoy the good occasional, like, random different game. I mean, I've been playing Minecraft for the past week, and I've been, really enjoying it again. It's been...
I also started Minecraft again about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't put it down.
Yeah, dude. But, like, you go through stages with that freaking game. Like, you will not touch it for 2 years, then all of a sudden you'll be like, I feel like doing something with this cube-shaped game for a little bit. And then, 5 minutes of screwing around with a little bit of redstone turns into, like, 3 weeks of your life. But, I definitely feel like... with Battlefield 6, probably, it's definitely going to be a shooter. That's where they are. That's what they're doing. But I feel something new and exciting with that would definitely be interesting. We definitely need like a fresh take on it. Like you said, just have something random happen in the middle. Like, make the moon explode. Show us what would happen if we had no more moon. Like, I know the world would be in turmoil, but show us, show us what people would do. Something random, something interesting.
What interesting take do you think they could do in gameplay? Because what we've said so far has been more like story, like throw an alien, blow up the moon, do something wild in the middle of the game. But how do you think they can shake up gameplay? And if you say exosuits, I'm going to shoot you, because exosuits in first-person shooters have been going horribly every time they've tried it.
Oh, dude, no. Trust me, I'm one of the biggest haters of exosuits and stuff. Like, that was... Titanfall did it. They did it well, but it needs to stay there. Okay, Call of Duty tried to do it. They did it with their like super soldiers and their enhanced people and having all the mechanical suits. I hated it. I could not stand it. It just annoyed the shit out of me. So I definitely think that exosuits have a place, right? But that's Titanfall and like Crisis, not everywhere else. Okay, they've got their place, but they need to stay in their place. But for something interesting, I'd like to see. I'm not 100% sure. Like maybe random types of grenades, for example. Like have a thing where it's a random chance grenade where you throw it. It could be like a Molotov or an explosion. It could be just confetti exploding everywhere because you don't get nice things. So it could just be something random like that, or have it where you just have like randomly generated guns or something maybe. Or like
I would like to see something like malaria in Far Cry 2. But they're expanding on it a bit more than that. Something where as you go through, your character, maybe they're getting access to more equipment, whatever, and they're getting more powerful, like in a lot of games. But at the same time, they've got this crippling disease, and it's slowing you down, and you have to. Maybe you start at the game with a lot of running and gunning, and that works out as the best tactic. But by the end of the game, you're on a completely different tactic because your character's sick. He's not as weak. He can't melee maybe, or he doesn't move as fast and he has to stick to cover. He can't carry bigger weapons or something like that. Where over time, it debilitates you and it forces you to change your gameplay. Or maybe do it the other way around. Your character starts out very wounded and you can do bugger all, and then by the end of the game, you've got an exosuit, but not an exosuit.
Yeah, you basically you are the embodiment of an exosuit,
Yeah.
Oh, I think definitely something. Give that mic some love. That mic sends some love.
The stand gets beaten up like you cannot believe.
I can imagine, dude. I know the pain. So I definitely Tarkov. Literally, how do you mean, Astro? I definitely. I'd love to see something interesting like that. Like you talk about like changing the mechanics throughout the game. Like I feel like that could be very, very tricky to pull off. Like a game like Far Cry, for example, where you go and raid those outposts. You can do them multiple ways. You can go and throwing grenades. You can go and throwing meat to make the wild creatures attack. You can, release some of the creatures that they might have at the outpost that go rampant and attack. You could do it extremely stealthy with a bow, or you could just stand on a corner at the top of the hill and just start sniping everyone. But generally, like once you've found the playstyle you like to do, you start doing that for every single outpost, right? I'd like to see where you could do multiple things, but you sort of like with each scenario you have to do it this way, otherwise it's not going to work. Like you go to an outpost, you have to be stealthy because there's like 50 men walking around, and if you alert any of them, you're done for. Whereas the next section you go to, it could be like there's one man every 300 meters or so you can just walk around like stabbing them like a crazy ninja, or have one where there's just a lot of enemies, but they're sort of low tier, so you can gun them through and just go nuts kind of thing. So I definitely feel like having something like multiple avenues of ways of playing the game, but still like locking each avenue to a specific scenario, so that you don't as a player lock yourself into one play style. I'm very guilty of that in Far Cry. I personally prefer I either always shoot people with the bow, or I stand on the hill and I snipe people from the top. That's usually the two ways I do it. I don't really do it any other way. But I see what Astro is commenting on in the chat now in regards to the stats, like with starting weak and getting stronger. He mentioned Tarkov, literally. So with Tarkov, you've got mechanics where you've got multiple different little stats that you need to boost up. You've got endurance, stamina, strength, that sort of thing. And as that progresses over time, you get better. So you can run longer distances, you can jump higher, further, you can throw grenades further, you like sight things better, you notice things easier. That sort of thing. So it's definitely a very interesting take on it. But I feel like something like that, just a little more in depth.
And then the biggest concern for me with that is if they do something like that, it'd be very important for them to do it with something that fits in with Battlefield. It has to be something Battlefield devs feel confident doing, that fits in with the type of game that they're making. Because if you have a Battlefield game, then it's just Halo with the flood being thrown in the middle. Halo does it brilliantly. If you did that in Battlefield, it would be horrible. And I'm pretty sure similar with Tarkov. With Tarkov, I think it would fit better with Battlefield, but they'd still need to do it quite a lot differently.
Yeah.
And don't make it a VR game. We are getting metal on a VR, which I'm very excited for. I
Yeah,
might actually buy myself a VR headset just for that.
yeah,
But I think I don't want to. Other than that, actually, I'm not too excited about VR. And my
yeah.
biggest thing with VR is I haven't played Half-Life Alex because I don't want to go through the trouble of doing all those mods to get it to work without a VR headset. And I haven't wanted to spend the money on a VR headset. But I love Half-Life. So I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. But if I have multiple games of VR, I might get it. But I still don't like the idea of VR exclusive because I still want to play the game even if I don't have a headset and I
Oh yeah,
haven't been able to
100%.
justify it yet.
I definitely feel VR has a place, especially with gaming. But much like with our exosuits, they have a place. They need to stay in their place. So I have no problem with games getting like VR ports and being adapted into VR. A lot of games have done it and pretty decently. There's bad examples. There's good examples. A bad example would be something like Ark. It is a terrible, nightmarish experience in VR. Um, but with something exactly, yeah, something like Minecraft VR is quite fun. Um, for me personally, I still want to try out a Payday 2 in VR. Like, see, I've got a VR headset. I was very dumb. I made stupid decisions. I bought a VR headset. I don't regret it. Sometimes I regret it. I don't regret it.
Your ex.
Say again.
Didn't you give one to your ex?
No,
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 that was that was someone else.
that was someone else. That's a different story. We won't go into that one. um, but yeah, no. So I definitely like. I'm not gonna say don't make adaptations of games into VR, because like even if the ports are bad, you still have the original game to play on your desktop experience. Um, but I definitely agree with you. Don't make a game VR exclusive. Like I feel Half-Life Alex did very very well, and it also did it did good by the VR industry. But that game could have done so much better than it did if it had a desktop version of it, or a desktop variant that you could play.
Normal variant.
Yeah, just a normal variant, you know. It could definitely be
Okay,
something
cool.
very
So,
good.
anything else we want to say on this topic?
Anything, anything we else want to add to the Battlefield 6 topic? By the way, we're talking about anyone in chat have any ideas of what they would like to see in Battlefield 6 and what they think it could possibly become. Astra, I feel like you're enjoying being very vocal here. You want to add in your 2 cents on this? But I definitely do think there's I would 100% like something fresh and exciting, something new for the shooter franchise. Like I'd like to see Battlefield 6 do something they've never done before. Like I know they want to go back to their roots and a lot of people would love that, but I'd love to see something that's never been done before.
Go back
Exactly.
to your roots. Make it a new game.
Yeah, exactly.
So next topic, and the reason I put this topic in is actually because I was going to do a video on my channel.
Yeah.
First video in a long time because I don't post as regularly as I used to.
Yeah.
So I sat down and wrote this topic, and I sat down and wrote a script, and I'm like, ooh, and this one, and this one. And I have a script that's like 10, 20 pages long now, and I'm not doing that in a single video. So it's probably going to be like every third video is going to be on this topic. But games we think deserve a remaster, and why do we think they deserve a remaster? What sort of things do they need to keep from the original? Do they need to make any changes, or is it just going to be like, here's a prettier version of the original? And what sort of brought this on is I was watching, I don't know if you've seen the YouTuber Rycevic, where he goes and does very detailed, in-depth analysis and retrospectives on games. And he's talking about the Halo games, and then let me go and see all the complaints about the remastered Halo games. I share a lot of those complaints, some of them I don't.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is, like, if you look at the remaster of Halo 1, flipping like phenomenal game, and the remaster is so much fun to play, especially the single player.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where you're shooting and the polygons and the textures don't match because it's got the polygons. It's basically the old game, running the old engine. But then when you click a button, it re-renders it. But the problem is in the new re-render, your models are not the same, and your textures also don't like show the same. So you could be shooting what you think is next to a tree, and meantime you're hitting the tree because
the textures
in
are
the original
off.
it was wider.
Yeah.
So there are a whole lot of things like that. So what sort of things do you not want to see changed in the games that you want remastered? And what games do you want remastered, obviously?
So, okay, so with remastered games, this is gonna be an interesting one, right? I used to play growing up. I played a game called Fable: The Lost Chapters. I played a lot of it.
Oh, so many playthroughs.
Dude, so many. The amount of times I got those devil horns. um, so I would definitely. I know they did do a remaster of it, but the remaster was not done well. Like they had issues with the hitboxes. They had issues with some of the textures freaking out. A lot of the gameplay they changed around, so a lot of the mechanics weren't the same, and it just felt very wrong to me, having played the original. Um, so I definitely love to see. I do have a couple games I'm going to mention, but I definitely would love to see like remasters done of these games. But I'm not entirely sure. Like I personally don't work with games, so I don't know what goes into it. But I would definitely love to see the games with modern day graphics and being able to perform at a modern day scale in terms of just the amount you can do with the game, sort of thing. Like you go and play an old game, it could be running at like 13 million FPS. That's fine, but there's still the limitation of what that engine is capable of, kind of thing. Like you couldn't have too many of a sprite in a certain area, or the game would freak out because it wouldn't know how to render that much information. So I would definitely love to see things like that get updated, but also the developers need to be very, very careful to avoid issues like with hitbox issues or texture sizes changing and actually causing problems with the game. With the games, I definitely would love to see remastered. That it would be like Fable, like I said, the Lost Chapters. I loved that game. I would also like to see the likes of Dungeon Keeper. I'd love to see Dungeon Keeper remastered. That'd be beautiful. I know they did a mobile version of it a while ago, and it was a lot of fun. But being a mobile game, it was pretty much you had to pay to get anywhere. And then I had a list, but I can't find it now. There were a few things I was interested in seeing remastered, but I've unfortunately lost that list. What games would you like to see remastered?
Star Wars Republic Commando.
Oh yes.
That one, I don't want just pretty graphics. That one, I want them just to tweak the squad management system.
Yeah.
I feel like if they tweak the squad management system, friendly AI and enemy AI just a little bit,
Yeah.
I feel like you could completely tops the original, because just with those small changes, just with the bit of refining in that area. But even so, like I've replayed Republic Commando about 20 times. I lost the disc and I went and bought it on Steam. I need to find out the Steam version is very buggy on my PC. Then Dawn of War, the original Dawn of War games, with all of its expansions, Winter Assault, Soulstorm, Dark Crusade. Those games, like, don't touch them. Update the visuals and then don't touch them, because I feel like Dawn of War 2 enjoyable, but didn't live up to the legacy of the original.
Yeah.
And then Dawn of War 3 was an absolute like disaster. I'd also want to see Space Marine. I don't know if you've ever played Space Marine. Space Marine it was sort of like a third-person RPG where you play as a Space Marine, and that was amazing. I love that game. So I'd love to see that remastered as well. And then Need for Speed Carbon and Most Wanted.
Yes,
Like
there
the
we
original
go.
Most Wanted. I don't want another
So they
Most
did.
Wanted like redo.
Yeah, they did in
I
2012 with
want
that.
the original one with new graphics.
Yes,
And maybe an
exactly.
updated UI. Like the menu can change,
Yeah.
but the gameplay must stay identical.
I want my blacklist of 15, and I want to be able to kick each of their asses individually. That was like the cream, that was the peak of Need for Speed.
I would want the only one change that I actually would. I take it back on the no gameplay. I would like to see, like, I love the endless highways and I want them to keep that. But just in your races, add to the city of Rockport. Like, It is
Yes.
Rockport. It was Rockport.
Yeah, it was Rockport. Yeah.
Just add to it, like add a more forestry area with like curvier roads, and another area with like tighter roads.
Yeah.
More
Update
suburban.
the cities a little bit.
Update the
Like not a
city, add a
complete
few new areas for
change.
races, but don't change the gameplay and keep what's already there. Like I
Yeah,
don't want to lose everything that's there.
exactly. 100%. I do. I remember one of the other games I wanted to mention was Spore. I would 100% love to see a good remaster of Spore.
The UI needs a lot of work, though.
It definitely does. Holy shit! I was playing it recently. The game, I was playing it recently. The game is so old at this point that it is locked at 600 by 480. I cannot get it into 1080p. And you go around. Your mouse is like half of your screen. It's great. uh,
At 720p.
I couldn't get it working. Look, it might just be me being stupid, but I couldn't get it working. So I'd definitely love to see a remaster of Spore. Like, fix the menus. The menus were very clunky, but the game that they had there, the whole evolution system and everything that you had going on was very, very, very good. I loved that. And then we do also have a comment in chat here, a Skate 3 remaster. I feel like that might be interesting.
It would be. I
Mm.
don't know if I would go with 3 though. I didn't
You wouldn't
really
go with
play
3
much
specifically.
3. I played like 20 minutes of 3. I did play a lot of Skate 2.
Yeah.
On friends' consoles because I never owned console. I mean, I owned an Xbox 360 at one point, but
Yeah.
that was just split screen zombies with friends and split screen Halo 3.
Yeah.
That's all I did on it. But I did play a bit of Skate 2, and I would definitely hop onto Skate 2 if it was remastered and at a reasonable price. I don't think it's a full price game,
Mm.
but I would have 100% if it was one of those like 300 rand, $30 games. I would 100% jump in.
So you actually almost brought up one of our other topics there. I'm very excited to get to. But so for me personally, I did play a lot of Skate 3. I had a friend in school that he used to live like, he was like a 2-minute walk from the school, right? So I'd walk over to his place most afternoons, because I'd usually have to wait like 2-3 hours before I get picked up because my parents worked. So I would always go. I would pretty much always go over to his house in the afternoons, and we'd play Skate 3 for a little while. So I definitely I can see where Astro's coming from with the Skate 3 specific remaster. So yeah, I personally would also really love to see a good Skate 3 remaster. I feel like that'd be quite nice. And then there was also I can't remember which Tony Hawk's game it was, but Pro Skate 2. I would love to see a remaster of that.
I think they did do a remaster of that, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to have a look.
I haven't really looked at the remaster, but I did see Game Ranks talking about it.
Okay, I'll definitely have a look for that.
Another game that I want to see the remaster done properly, because the original remaster is absolute dog shit. And this is Warcraft 3 with Frozen Throne this time, because the Frozen Throne campaign was miles ahead of the normal one, and I felt like multiplayer was a bit more balanced in Frozen Throne.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. That's what I felt. Because like honestly, Blizzard fucked that up. It was terrible. And they're like, oh no, even your like cinematic areas are so much better, but they stick to like one static camera angle where the characters don't move, and you go compare it to the original. There's actually, I can't remember who did it, but there's a good YouTube video where they compare the two.
Yeah.
And they've got moving characters and far like more dynamic camera angles, and they switch between the camera angles to sort of emphasize the story a lot more with the original Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
It just I want Blizzard to fuck off and give it to a small dev and do it. Like Command & Conquer's been remastered now.
Ooh.
That's also on Command & Conquer 3.
Yes.
And Tiberium Sun. Because the original one's been remastered. I think they're going to remaster number 2 and Red Alert 2 as well soon. I'm not 100% sure on that. But they didn't take the EA guys there. They gave it back to the original devs who started their own studio, and they're like, here's your license, have fun. And I think that's coming out quite well, because they've got people who are actually more passionate about that. I feel like when Activision Blizzard did the Warcraft remaster, they fucked it up. I don't think they gave it to people who are passionate about it, or they pushed out deadlines, and they're like, money. I'm like, well, you need to make money, obviously, you're a business.
Yeah.
But if your devs are not passionate about the project and they're not given sufficient time, your game is going to be shit. You're going to end up with Assassin's Creed Unity again.
Wow. just had to throw that one out there. Just a dagger in the dark. Let's go. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. You said Command and Conquer, and that just brought back so many memories. I used to get. I remember my dad played that a lot on PC. I used to get nightmares because the cover of Tiberian's Son was the bald dude with the thing in his glass eye. I used to get nightmares because of that fucker. Every single night, he would visit me in my dreams, and I would be terrified. But I do remember playing the game.
It wasn't the first game I started playing. It was one of the first games I started playing with Siberian Sun. I remember getting to the part in the campaign where 5 or 6-year-old me would have this alien ship that had crash landed, and they'd play the cinematic where the guy goes in, and I could never watch that cinematic because I cucked myself the second there was a knocking sound on the ship, and I never knew what happened until like 2 or 3 years ago when I found my discs.
Yeah.
I ended up downloading it with a crack to get my original discs to freaking work. So I downloaded a cracked version, then pulled out the cracked exe onto the original install. Which is the same thing. I don't know why, but anyway.
I mean, hey, you still had the discs.
Until then, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, dude, they were definitely quite more free to do what they wanted with games and films and stuff back then. It was also like I don't know if you ever saw, heard of, or played Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, that was so filthy. That is raunchy.
It was. I remember my parents got a gaming PC, right? Because my dad wanted to do PC gaming. And they got Leisure Suit Larry. Of course, you know, adults being adults, they're gonna get that kind of game. Now, I always wanted to play it because I saw the cover and I saw like how cool the graphics looked, and I was like, I want to play that. My parents were like, you do not touch that game. You do not go near that game. So I never did because I was a good little kid and I'd listen to my parents. Not now, but then.
The original Leisure Suit Larry game in a collector's box. Well, not me. My dad has it. It's in the next, like, the flat I'm in now on the property. The next room is actually my dad's office, and it's right there. And I remember my dad showed me the intro. So my dad had played it before, and just before anything dirty came up, he's like, right, Luke, out the room. I'm like, okay, why can't I wait? Just out the room. Never got an explanation. I found out years later why.
So I hope you're gonna share that with me after this.
Escape from Monkey Island, I think it was.
Escape from I never heard of that one.
I think it's Escape from Monkey Island. It was one of those like click and point adventures, much like Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
Flipping funny. Like I was listening to some of the dialogue lines from that a while ago. Really, really funny. I did install and play it. I'd also want a remaster Black and White.
Yes, I was going to mention that. You beat me to it. Do you want 1 or 2 though specifically?
Both in one
Both.
pack.
Yes, that'd be nice. I personally, I never played 1, but I did play a lot of 2. And I was so bleak the one day because I remember I used to play it a lot on Windows XP because that was the prime when it came out. Then we updated to Vista, and as soon as we did that, I could never touch the game again. It refused to launch ever.
I had to use a crack for it, but the problem is
Yeah.
on number 2. I don't know if they did on number 1, but on number 2, the devs put in this creative little glitch. So if you use your crack, and okay, the reason I used the crack was because I borrowed a friend's copy, and he's like, I want my disc back, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get an OCD crack. Your children do not grow up. You reach a certain point in the campaign, and then your children do not grow up. So you can't get more soldiers, you can't get more worshippers. They're just these little kids, and you have like thousands of little kids, and the average age of your population who isn't a child is like 80, 90, 120 years old. And you're like, well...
Shit. I guess I'm done playing now.
I'm trying to figure out why this glitch is popping up. And then I found an article about creative things devs have done to stop cheating. Like Serious Sam 3, they had this unkillable monster chase you around the map because you cracked the game and they weren't going to stop you. So like part way through the campaign, this monster came up and you just couldn't kill it. It had infinite health.
Yeah.
And then on that article, yeah, no, they stop the kids from growing up when you crack the game. So yeah, no, I definitely. Can you get Black and White on Steam? Black and White 2? Because
I have
that needs
no
to be
idea.
one
Let me
of
have a
the
look
games
for
I
you
have to
quickly.
buy. All the games I cracked when I was younger, I have now bought, with the exception of one or two that I just forgot about until like now. I just remember Black and White 2.
Yeah. See, I want to say the same because I've started working. I can now afford to buy my games. So I no longer visit the seven seas for games.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely do still have a lot of games to catch up for.
By the seven seas, you mean Ocean of Games and Pirate Bay?
Yeah. Dude, many a virus that I get.
I didn't crack too many games, but there were a number of games that I had and then I cracked so that I could LAN with my friends.
Yeah.
So like Warcraft 3 I had, but I got a crack for it online so I could play it with my friends at LANs. Counter-Strike 1.6 and Counter-Strike Source. I had it, but I downloaded the crack so I can play with friends.
Yeah.
Like I did that for so many games.
I mean, that's how I got into Minecraft. I didn't buy Minecraft until I was like 16.
I played Minecraft when it was on like version 1.2.
Yep.
I only bought it 2 years ago. Oh no, not even 2 years ago. 1 and a bit years ago.
Oh wow.
Just before COVID, like a few months before COVID hit us. Like I bought the legit Minecraft, and it's because I wanted
Nice.
to play on Hypixel. I wanted to play Bed Wars, and that's it.
That's great, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
But
But
you
that's
know,
what I've been doing since I started working. I've been getting all my old games. I've been slowly buying them.
mm.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I've got the legit copies. Get off my back. I don't have to feel bad now.
Yeah, conscience is getting cleared slowly and surely.
Put my phone away, and now I can't see what our next topic is.
So our next topic is so is there anyone else in chat who has any games that they would love to see a remaster of and they'd love us to talk about? We are going to move slowly on to the next topic, but if we do see them come through, we will get back to them.
Sorry, chat. I forgot about you. I'm not a streamer.
Don't worry, Chad. I got you covered. I got you. So the next topic is a Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition. Right now, this is
2.0.
yeah. So the topic for this is why do companies keep rebooting the same game? There's a lot of games that have just been rebooted and rebooted and rebooted. The most recent one that we're noting that I brought up for this topic was I saw recently that the developers for Metro have now released an enhanced edition for Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus was released, I think, 2017 or 2018. I'll have to double check that for you.
It was
Then,
on Xbox 360 because I remember playing it there.
okay, so that was quite a while back. But there was Metro Exodus, then there was the Metro Exodus Redux, and now they've got the Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition. Like,
No, it wasn't. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different Metro game.
probably Last Light or
Yeah,
2033.
It was probably Last Light.
Let's see when Metro Exodus was released. But there's been a lot of games that have had a good few retakes on it, and it annoys me because it gets to a point where it seems like devs are literally just trying to re-release for that cash grab.
Well, I think that's why they do it. It's cash. If you can make a lot of money, this is why Skyrim has been re-released everywhere so many times.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The thing is, like, it bugs me a little, but at the same time, I have to step back. I'm like, okay, does it bring me value? Because like I had the original Skyrim on a Steam account that I forgot the password to, and I can't even access that email to.
Yeah.
And I was like so miffed because also had Supreme Commander 2. Like there's only two games that paid for games that I had on there was Supreme Commander 2 and Skyrim. So I was kind of miffed about that. And then they released the in special edition.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll get that. But that also brought me value over the old one because now I could do more with modding. A big problem with the old Skyrim was the engine that Skyrim was built on couldn't address as much memory or run as efficiently on multiple core CPUs.
Yeah.
But with the special edition, all of a sudden the engine could take advantage of that. So you could suddenly install that mod that adds like 100 NPC battles without your computer crashing, as long as you have enough RAM and a pretty decent.
Yeah.
But now that you can do that, I'm like, this is so much better for modding now, and I sunk a shit ton of hours into Special Edition as a result.
Yeah.
But other than that, any like a game that's been remastered or re-released like a long time later, where it's actual proper remaster, that to me is great.
Yeah.
But then, like with Metro Exodus now and half the Skyrim releases, I've been like, no, like it doesn't bring value. It's the same game.
The original release for Metro Exodus, by the way, was 2019. That was the original release for Exodus. Then the Redux came out 2020. No. It was 2019 was the original, 2020 was the Redux, and now this year is Enhanced Edition.
Oh no!
Like, come on.
That's just terrible. That is.
That's like.
Who's the publisher for Metro Exodus?
I just had it open. He just had to ask me after I closed it. It was Deep Silver.
Deep Silver. I mean, like, they would make Todd Howard from Bethesda proud.
Dude. Skyrim Fridge Edition, Samsung Fridge Edition.
Play it on your Alexa.
Alexa, play Skyrim. That
you
was
see
the juice.
Mountains over there, you can climb them. You see that world outside the sewage, and like the metro, you can explore all of it.
Oh, that's great, dude. But yeah, I feel like, so there are definitely games that do deserve a remaster, and I found that very interesting when we were coming up with the topics, because you were like, games that we think deserve a remaster, and I'm just here like, why do games keep getting remastered? So there's definitely a place for remaster for those old games, those nostalgia games. We must remaster those. But like, if a game's been released in the past 5 years, don't re-release the freaking game. Like, stop.
Do what Valve did. Like 9 years later, here's a DLC to reboot the player base.
Yeah, exactly.
And even better, it was community-based DLC. Like if they did that for Metro with like an enhanced graphics pack, I think Crysis 2, a few years after it came out, they had the DX11 upgrade that you could download.
Yeah.
That EA provided, and it made the game look a lot crisper, and I think it ran smoother on some graphics cards.
Yeah.
And something like that, I think that is great. I think if you do it properly, like Valve had done it, it really reboots your player base. I mean, Left 4 Dead 2, it never completely died. There was still a community around it.
Still is.
But it just rebooted that game, and especially for the first like 2 months after that DLC came out, it was pumping. Like all of my old custom servers that I used to play on were full. The ones that were still around were full.
Yeah, 100%.
There were a couple new ones. And like I think they need to do something more like that as opposed to re-release the game 3 times in 3 years. Metro.
Deep Silver.
5 years. No,
nah, it's 3 years. 3 years, and they've released it 3 times now.
Good shit.
Dude, it's like they're trying to catch up to Call of Duty, dude. They got to release a game every year. They
I don't think I have much more to say on this topic.
I think we've exhausted this one a little bit.
I thought it would last long.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so do the devs, dude. That's why they keep re-releasing the games.
Quick, we need more money.
Yeah, just pop. Oh gosh.
So,
yeah, next topic.
On your keyboard, mouse, or headset. And now, okay, there's a reason I asked this. So when I was writing my topics, about a day before, I upgraded my headset.
Yeah.
So I am now on my gaming PC. I'm on a Corsair HS70 wireless.
I was about to say, I can see your headset looks gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, amazing. Because I was at like Corsair HS35s, which I paid about 800 Rand for, which I think is like 35 US dollars.
Yeah.
And those were great. Like they are still, like they sound really good, even compared to my HS70s. My HS70s sound a bit better, but the HS35s still sound almost as good. Very small difference, not enough to justify the price. Um, apart from they've just got a plastic body, which is my only gripe with them, is the plastic body. They are the most comfortable headset I've ever worn.
Mm.
But because the HS70s are wireless, I'm loving them. Like, I go pee on a Discord call, and I can still hear what my friends are saying, and I can still chat back, and they can complain like, "What the hell am I hearing?" I'm like, "Not worry about it."
I do the same thing all the time. Don't worry, you're not alone in that one.
Like, I really love it. But until that point, like, my belief was, first thing you spend a lot of money on, like, get cheap, crappy office stuff, and the earphones that came with your phone, like I'm using now.
Yeah.
And the first thing you spend decent money on was your mouse, especially because at one stage I tried to go pro CS:GO. I'm good at CS:GO to the point where I can confidently say I'm above average. I am not a pro. But I found the thing that made the biggest difference was a mouse. So
Yeah.
the mouse was the first thing I spent good money on. Then it was my keyboard. I don't like clicky mechanical switches. If so, I would use like a more entry level mechanical keyboard. But because I don't like the clicky ones and I want like the really quiet brown ones, I spent more money on that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well now I've changed it now because now my keyboard is a bit more expensive than my mouse.
Yeah.
And I've got the HS70s. I'm like, this is just reverse order because I'm buying them in a way where it's the thing that I buy last is the most expensive thing now. But I still think the order should be mouse first, then keyboard, then headset.
Okay. See,
And I'm going, should I spend more on my mouse because technically that makes the biggest difference. But I love my mouse and I love my headset.
okay. So see, for me personally, it's a little bit different. I'm very much I'm a bit of an audiophile. I love my audio. I mean, my previous headset before this, the only reason I'm using this headset is because it's wireless, and because it was close enough to the audio that I'm used to. For me personally, I don't like Corsair's audio profile. I don't like their sound staging.
No, you have to use the equalizer. I use an equalizer on mine. Luckily, the IQ software has an equalizer.
So
like, I don't like the defaults.
So I've used the headset of one of my friends before, and I don't know if he had it set wrong in his equalizer, he just wasn't using it, but it was very like bassy and muddy.
Yeah, no, not the HS. My HS35s weren't too muddy, but I did have to like turn my highs up a bit. My HS70s, better overall quality, but when I took them out the packaging, were flipping muddy. And I go like even their presets in the IQ software, like you can get ones for different. They've got like 4 or 5 different presets, and I just selected. I think it was the voice chat one, and then the competitive gaming one where your highs are boosted and your lows aren't too much.
Yeah.
And those then now it sounds great, but out of the box it did sound very muddy.
Yeah, 100%. Like so for certain headphones, there are a lot of tweaking that go into it. Sorry, excuse me while I grab my headset for a visual aid here. Yes. So the only reason I'm not using them is because of this blasted cable. That is the only reason. Now, they're not the greatest, but they are pretty decent. I've got they don't have the model on them, but I've got, okay, so you got a little bit bigger than me there. So I've got the
these aren't mine. This is my brother's box that he left in here.
I love it. So I've got the HD 202s. They're incredibly comfortable. They're incredibly light. I put them on the other day and I was absolutely blown away. Like compared to this, they're incredibly light. They feel like a feather on my head. And the sound quality out of them is they're studio grade headphones, and they're flat reference. They've got a flat reference audio preset. So there's no funny extra bass for gunshots and stuff like with gaming headphones kind of thing. I definitely noticed that with this. These are a little heavy on the bass, but I played around with my Windows equalization and stuff, and that managed to get it right. That's why I spent about 10-ish minutes trying to balance them to this, but I didn't spend like an in-depth amount of time just trying to like get them perfect. Which I probably should do at some point, but it's not the end of the world. So I made the decision to get a wireless headset because I wanted the movability. But in terms of upgrading the peripherals, which one I feel upgrading first? For me, playing first-person shooters, audio's a very big thing for me. Like I'm very much an audio whore when it comes to gaming. I love being able to hear someone like half a kilometer away from me, knowing exactly where they are, being able to pinpoint them.
I'm still recording.
Very advantageous. No worries. Very advantageous perk to have. So I feel for me having the headset first is priority, and then I definitely did notice a huge jump when I got my mouse. Like currently I'm using the G603 wireless. I know a lot of people have reservation with wireless because of the latency. Personally, I haven't felt it. I've got
the Logitech, their current G wireless mouse all use their light speed, so
Yeah.
you're not going to know the latency difference, and in some cases it's better than a cheap wired mouse. But that's because Corsair and Logitech have their wired technology down. I think they're the only two brands that do that, though.
Yeah, their wireless is very good. It is. We've gotten to a day and age where wireless technology is a very powerful capability. Even I mean, one of my friends is a very good example. He doesn't have a cabled connection in his room. He used to be using a one of those power line Ethernet adapter things. You plug it in one side, it sends an Ethernet signal through your the copper in your wall, and then you have a receiver on the other side, and then it just decodes all of that for you. The funny thing is, with that power line adapter, he was getting about 25 to 30 megabits per second. Now that he's on the Wi-Fi connected to his router, he's now getting between 50 and 70 megabit per second. And he's on a 100 meg line. So there is definitely a little bit of loss there, but his ping's incredibly low. He's got very low latency, and he's still getting decent speeds. So we have reached a day and age where wireless technology is a very viable option. It's a very viable solution. And I'd love to see how that can expand further. I'd love to see my mouse be capable of Wi-Fi 6, just use those speeds. But yeah, so with that, I personally feel like headset should be the first move, then mouse, then keyboard. Like I'm personally in the boat now. I did my mouse a little while ago. I did the headset recently just because I wanted the wireless, and now I need. This is actually quite gorgeous. I've got my Corsair keyboard over here, but I'm missing a key, as you can see. It's because yeah, it's a very interesting thing. So I had this little nylon brush that I used to use. It came with one of my parents' old vacuums. It was meant for like getting crumbs out of the corners of couches, sort of thing. It's like very big black handle and long nylon bristles. So I was busy cleaning my keyboard very rampantly, as you do when you're stupid, and I swung the handle down too hard, and it hit the keycap of my F3 key, and it snapped the stem at the base. So I was like, awesome. I now, every time, it's very annoying in Minecraft, because every time I want to look at my coordinates, I gotta like press my pinky into my keyboard to be able to see things. But so I'm currently looking at getting a new keyboard, but like holy shit, I want to get a Corsair keyboard because I love their RGB and stuff. But like holy shit, the keyboard I'm looking at is like $3,500. It's like
but it's just two things. First,
yeah,
hit Corsair up, because I've seen a number of people. I think it was on South African Gamers Facebook group. A number of people would say no, they've been able to get replacements from Corsair either free or really cheap.
Yeah.
So maybe that might be an option for you. My girlfriend just messaged me saying, I agree with him. The first thing is a headset. And I'm like, okay, well, that's you.
You honestly, see, like, we
when
understand.
It comes to what's going to affect your experience, like playing a game, especially if you want to do well or be comfortable, I think a mouse is the most important thing. And the reason I say this is the mouse my girlfriend is currently using is the most expensive mouse I ever bought, but it gave me hand cramps. So for me, having a good mouse is like the first thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can agree with that.
It's the cheapest thing on my desk now, even though it's the most important thing to me.
And then a very interesting topic I wanted to bring up, just because we mentioned Corsair. Would you consider yourself like brand loyal? I had the reason I ask is because I had a friend over the other day, and it's very amusing. You step into my room, you see a blue microphone, a Corsair keyboard, a Logitech mouse, dull screens, Alienware headset, an Aorus motherboard, and a ASUS graphics card, a Fantex case. There is no brand loyalty in my room whatsoever.
Okay, so for me, I don't believe in brand loyalty, because then you get fanboys, and when the brand like fucks up, they're not held responsible, and they get away with it because, oh, we've got our fanboys, they're just going to keep buying our products.
Yeah.
But there's a point, like if you look at my computer right now, I have an MSI motherboard and MSI graphics card, and it's purely so that I have one piece, like one utility to modify like my fan curves and my RGB without having to go into my BIOS.
Okay.
That's the only reason. And I use a Logitech G102 Prodigy for my mouse.
Yeah.
I was going to get another headset so I could have my webcam, my mouse, and my headset, and also maybe my keyboard all in one software. And I'd like that, but at the same time, I'm like, actually, Logitech, great value on the mouse, but I don't think the keyboard's worth the money, and I don't think their headsets are worth the money. So either like the cheap ones are shit, and the expensive ones are too expensive. Which is why I got the Corsair HS70s, because to me, I'm like, if I want a good quality wireless headset, with all the reviews and things I've read and heard, I'm like, the Corsairs are like the best value ones out of the good wireless ones.
Yeah.
When I bought the wired one, it's just because my crappy Red Dragon headset broke, and I'm like, okay, that's a decent brand, I trust it. My keyboard's actually a GAM dias, and like, I never, until I was looking for a new keyboard, I didn't know GAMDAS was a thing. But I love that keyboard. Like, I wouldn't use, I've touched keyboards that are 4 times the price. I would not use those keyboards because my little GAMDAS is amazing. It's got those low profile brown switches.
Yeah.
I got a video about it on my YouTube channel where I was bashed by my friends because every 2 seconds I say I love this keyboard. I rewatched the video. I'm like, how did I not notice this when I edited it? It's actually it's out of my videos. It's one of the worst videos in terms of my presentation. But I was just so in love with this keyboard because it looks so nice. It feels so nice. It's just the perfect size.
Yeah.
And like, I love that keyboard. But GAMDAS, I wouldn't dare touch their headsets, and I wouldn't dare touch their mice. But I feel like that keyboard is amazing. So I think, like, I want things to be on one platform. Like, I want just one piece of software and I plug into my computer, but I don't like brand loyalty.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I just want to say in chat here quickly, if anyone's interested, definitely go check out Happy's Tech Out. There's the link. Go and check out his videos, drop some likes, show him some love.
Content will come soon. The drought is all over.
So for me, I personally, I don't do the whole brand loyalty thing because it's just you get caught in a situation. My friend with the Corsair headset, almost everything of his is Corsair, and he refuses to accept faults of the Corsair products. But I do understand, like, wanting to keep a closed ecosystem. Like, for example, right now, I've got a piece of software for my mouse. I've got a piece of software for my headset. I've got a piece of software for my keyboard. I've got a piece of software for the Cooler Master fans in my case. I've then got another piece of software for the ASUS RGB on my graphics card. I've then got another piece of software for the RGB on my motherboard. There's software. It's just too much. So I can definitely understand having, like, me personally, I don't like Corsair for a lot of reasons. I've had a lot of issues with a lot of their products. Granted, the keyboard's personal stupidity. That's on me. I'll accept that one. But like with their capture cards and stuff, I've had a lot of problems, that sort of stuff, but we won't go into that. But I could definitely see having a Corsair case with the RGB and all that, their Corsair coolers, having all of that together as one closed ecosystem just so you can control it all together would be a lot easier. But I definitely wouldn't take that brand loyalty to the extent of having it like all over my desk. Like, it would be pretty cool. You do get a lot of games that are synced up with it. Like, I know Far Cry is a good example of that. They have everything synced up. Like if you have everything Corsair, whenever you're getting shot, your entire system flashes red kind of thing, and it can just add that extra little
Like
level.
the Razer Synapse thing.
Yeah, exactly.
On my Logitech, when I play Counter-Strike, it flashes red when I die, blue when I win, and then it changes color according to which team I'm busy playing on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so having like unity across your products like that is pretty cool. But I definitely do think brand loyalty allows for brands to get a little too comfortable where they feel like they're sitting dominant on the market. And just a quick throw out there, it's Intel is a very good example of this for me, where they release multiple products with very slight iterational changes.
Or in the case of their recent release, worse than the previous generation.
95 degrees? You want to cook pancakes, bro? Let's go.
Slower multi-core tasking, fewer cores.
Just to answer a couple of questions here. Craziness and brand choice, yeah, 100%. Is everything going to be hardware related? So for this podcast, not necessarily. We're just doing we're just on hardware at the moment, but we're doing games, hardware, anything we find interesting in that sort of space.
Anything remotely related to any content that either of us would put out.
Basically. But yeah, I think we're ready to move on to the next topic.
Oh crap, I minimized it. Like I look at my phone to get it and I minimize it. Yeah. Okay, ping caps, do they have a place in games? Can I just open like with 2 points?
Okay.
It may help on a competitive scene, like when I tried competitive CSGO, if you have shit ping, you've screwed yourself over. It doesn't matter if you're a good player, you're at a big disadvantage and it takes a lot more to get over that advantage. A player that's slightly lower in skill level than you will suddenly slaughter you because you've got high ping. So a ping cap may be important in that scenario. But putting in ping caps, having a high latency, and for anyone who doesn't actually understand what ping is referring to the delay between when you push a button and when the server that's hosting the game in whatever country knows that you've pushed that button. So having a high ping cap will really, really hold you at a disadvantage. But getting rid of that ping cap, especially when you have gamers living in places like South Africa and Mauritius, not many games have servers.
Yeah.
So throwing in a ping cap, suddenly a huge portion of your player base can't play games and you ruin the accessibility to games. And I think it's important to keep that in mind. So like a ping cap for Counter-Strike would work somewhere like here because we've got local servers pretty much everywhere for Counter-Strike. But if I did it for like COD Warzone, not a freaking chance. I would never ever get a game of COD Warzone or Apex.
Well, that's what blew up the last COD before Warzone, the last battle royale. That's what destroyed the game for them, is because they region locked their game. For me, the thing that made me think about this topic was, with Escape from Tarkov, we do have a South African server. The problem is the player base here, because it's such a niche and expensive game. The player base here is pretty small. There's about, I'd say about 100, 120 players at the peak, which ain't great. Right now, I think it's sitting at like 12 people. But so for games like that, where you're starting to have like people aren't able to play a game because there's either no one in their area willing to play the game, or they're not capable of connecting to other servers. I feel like that at that point you should take away the ping cap. When it comes to games like Counter-Strike, where it's incredibly competitive, I can understand where ping could be a very big disadvantage, but I feel like that's very, very dependent on the game itself. Like with Counter-Strike, for example, you mentioned ping of like 300, where it becomes a problem. I have definitely...
Counter-Strike is like ping of 80, above 80, you can actually start to feel it. But that's also because of the engine the game's made of. So if I were to play something like Apex, I play Apex very smoothly with 200 ping.
Yeah.
Where if I try to play Counter-Strike with 200 ping, I would never see an opponent before I die. I would click and I'd notice the difference because the source engine just doesn't handle ping very well. And I think that is to try keep it fair balance so that when you've got two people at the same ping, you don't sort of screw up your result based on
You're in
how your
favor.
server is interpreting the ping. But that is also something else you have to consider, which is why it's important for Counter-Strike to have servers everywhere. And a game like Apex can get away with servers in just the more popular areas to have servers, like European, American, Asian servers.
Yeah, 100%. So, like, for me personally, definitely with Apex, Apex is a very good example. I was going to bring it up. Like, Apex does very well at managing their ping, and you know, everyone, like, people love to throw the terminology netcode around, but a lot of people don't really understand it. So like Apex does a very, very good job at handling that, but there are definitely moments when you notice that ping issue. Like, for me personally, for the vast majority of my gameplay in Apex, for the vast majority, it's perfectly fine. I have no problem. I can go up against people who are lower skill than me, or people who are the same skill as me, and not find any difficulties. Obviously higher skill, they're gonna trounce me because, you know, I'm pretty trash. But um, I definitely have noticed those issues where, like, you run into a room and you close a door, for example, and then they still somehow shoot you through that door. Because on their screen, you're still in front of that door is still open, you're still easy to shoot. And the server has to translate that. But then it also becomes very dependent on how the game is designed to handle that sort of thing. Like, for example, if on your screen you're behind a door, you're safe and sound, but on my screen you're bright as day, easy to shoot, and I shoot you, and you, from my side you should be going down, from your side you shouldn't be affected. How do you say which one it should be? It's a very difficult kind of balance to be like, okay, well, you know, that person did kill you on their side, you should be dead, or, you know, you did escape on your side, you should be fine. You know, it's very difficult to determine who that is, and unfortunately for Apex, it's generally the person with the higher ping who's at the advantage. Like, funny enough, even for us, whenever you get killed around the corner, it is usually because the person who's killed you has a much higher ping than you. But
But
it's,
that then comes to the thing of, do you want your game to be accessible, or do
yeah,
you want it to have like a smoother, maybe less frustrating experience with your multiplayer? I'm pro accessibility to a point.
yeah,
I think it's also important that if you have a very popular game, that you have servers everywhere. I personally think a game that's as big as Apex Legends, or that was as big as PUBG was, or Overwatch, there is no reason that they shouldn't have a wider variety of servers. There are plenty of games with good servers in South Africa,
yeah,
but a lot of those bigger games like Warzone, I don't know if Warzone has South African servers. There
no,
was a point where I used to get like 40 ping in Warzone. I'm like, that's South African. But now I'm like, I've uninstalled the game because it's just, I think I said it earlier, that the file size is not something I play often enough, and it's
yeah,
just such an inconvenience to have that game. And the ping was one of those factors that just made, like, I'm not gonna play it anymore. But there's no reason a big game like that shouldn't have a wider spread of servers. So I think ping caps can be a thing, but it depends on how the developer manages it. And if you do a ping cap, you should have a wider variety of servers, and you should make your game more accessible.
yeah, 100%. I feel like a good solution to it, like, obviously there's no ultimate solution to anything. It's a very difficult field to navigate. I feel like a good solution to it, though, would be, if the developers have the capability of putting servers there, then put those servers in, but allow the players the capability of being able to choose wherever they want to play. But with certain extent. So, for example, like Counter-Strike, you can play general, you can play ranked, right? So for general, let the people play wherever the hell they want to play, because it's not the end of the world. Like, yeah, it's still a competitive game, but, you know, it's not the end of the world if you get slapped in a general match. It's not the end of the world. But with a competitive match, then, you know, you want to, like, not be screwed over by someone with a high ping. You want to not have to worry about someone teleporting across the map. So for, like, ranked games, make that ping capped and locked down.
Cool. Okay, let's try to get through these last two topics quick, because
Yeah.
my bum is getting sore.
Yeah, I need better chairs.
Favorite way of dealing with salty teammates. And now this was one of my topics, and the reason I ask it is because I don't have a favorite way. And sometimes I do
Yeah,
it really, really well. Other times I make it worse, and other times I just quit in a rage because I just don't have the patience for salty teammates. And it
yeah,
also depends on the game. Because if it's something like Dota, for instance, I played Dota when it was still a mod for Warcraft. I love Dota. I sunk easily 1,000 hours into Dota when I was like between the ages of I think 7-ish, so beginning primary school, till Dota 2 came out. Um, and every time I try jump into Dota 2, they are just so toxic, especially to newer players, that I'm just like, I don't like. If I want Assault Factory, I'll go to CS:GO where it's not as bad, especially towards like players that aren't that good. Like I'm not good at Dota at all.
mm,
Uh, so in instances like that, I just quit.
yeah,
Whereas in Counter Strike, depending on the type of assault, sometimes it's just like really easy to make fun of them for being salty.
yeah,
Um, that is one of my all-time favorite things to do with the salty guy in Counter-Strike is mimic their voice, push them to the limit, make them go from salty to raging to I'm leaving this game. Or
yeah,
getting the ban.
exactly.
So many times we've gotten people to get banned. It sounds like I'm a toxic person, but most of the time it's like you have to give me that little bit of salt first, and I just like dial it to 100.
Mm,
And then there are other times where like I just mute them. Like
yeah,
it is the best thing to do is just to mute them. And as long as they're not doing anything to interfere with you, like getting in the way of your shots or whatever, it's the best way for me, the most productive way, where I also don't look like a dick as well, because I do look like a dick when I make them rage.
yeah,
It it,
yeah, no,
it happens.
definitely. So bringing up Dota is definitely an interesting thought. MOBAs, the players for MOBAs are notoriously salty. Like yeah, exactly. I was about to say it's a meme for League of Legends that like you play League of Legends with a salt shaker. That's what you do. You coat your keyboard in salt and then you. Wow. Okay. uh, okay, that one caught me off guard. So yeah, no, like it's the type of it's the type of game where you like just cover your keyboard in salt and just smack your face against the keyboard. um, but yeah, so my personal favorite way of dealing with salty teammates is just because I'm a troll. I'm a troll by nature, right? I'm either always trolling randoms or trolling my friends. I'm the kind of guy who just does like very weird and strange voices over games like Apex. Whenever a game has VoIP, I abuse it. I love it. It's my favorite thing. Because I'm that guy who's just got such a weird, wacky sense of humor where I'll sit there and I'll just do everything I can to make you like break, to get you to crack a smile. So my favorite way of dealing with salty people is generally I will either be extremely weird, um, or I'll just mirror their salt right back at them. It's always my favorite way because if you like, it was always my favorite thing was or my favorite joke was if someone's getting angry with you and someone like looks like they want to fight, just drop your pants and be like, let's fuck. They will back down immediately and walk away.
Not always.
Not all. Sometimes you might be in for an interesting wild ride, but for the most part, it works.
One of my favorite things to do, I haven't done it in a long time,
Yeah.
get a really salty guy in Counter Strike, and just to test like what their views and things are, and how they'd react to you. I used to like run my character behind them and start telling them, "Oh, your character has such a nice butt." It's like
Look at
see
that
how they
ass,
react,
boy.
and then slowly escalate it
Just keep making it that much worse.
until it's just weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes it get funny, and then it go past funny to just okay, it's enough now. Other
Yeah.
times it ended horribly, where these guys are like, "I'm reporting you for abusive voice." I'm like, I just said you have a nice butt, and I just want to squeeze it.
Oh my god, let me just squeeze that butt.
Yeah.
Like Yeah, there's definitely that is 100% like my favorite way to deal with salt is just weird them out till they stop talking.
Doesn't always work.
Not always. You
Eventually, you
definitely
have
get people who are just too stubborn, and
and
eventually you just have to mute them.
sometimes it gets to me as well, where I lose my shit.
Yeah. No, 100%. I get you.
Does the chat want to say anything about dealing with salty teammates?
Yeah,
Do they
chat.
approve of
How
how
do you
we deal
guys?
with salty teammates?
Do you approve of us creeping out the salties, or do you are you one of the salties that have been creeped out and you have something to say about it? Have you witnessed us? Have you witnessed our kind of people? uh
Okay, so next topic on the list, and this is our last one. Vehicle simulators like flight simulators or racing simulators, are they worth it?
yes.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, in the last, say, 5 years, apart from replaying old Need for Speed games,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, no, I think it's just old Need for Speed games. Apart from replaying those and a little bit of World of Tanks, which I don't really consider primarily a vehicle sim. I think it's more of a combat game. It's not just a vehicle sim.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think it applies to the sort of sims we want to talk about. It's been F1, and the only reasons I've played F1 is friends have had it, and goofing off in multiplayer has
Yeah.
been incredibly fun, and it's been cheaper. I would no way pay full price game for an F1 game, but when it's on sale on Steam for like $180, which is like what 10 US, 10 US
Yeah.
dollars, that is a great like that is definitely worth it. But the second it's more, like I wouldn't get it, and if I didn't have friends playing it, if I don't have friends that were actually screwing around with it,
Yeah.
like really trying to push the physics engine, I would definitely not get it. But
Yeah.
when it meets the
100%.
requirements, I think it's worth it.
So for me, so the reason I brought up this topic was because I spent a lot of days trailing around on YouTube, right? I've seen a big thing for me recently has been seeing these people doing these massive, intense, elite, dangerous builds. I saw a YouTube video of this man who built himself an entire wooden like cockpit. He had multiple instrument panels. He had his joystick for flight control, and then he had his the speed thing. And then he had 3 projectors attached to the ceiling to project a full panoramic view for him, so he could be entirely immersed in this.
Oh wow!
So when I'm talking when I talk vehicle simulators, I mean specifically the whole physical like simulator. Like you get at arcades, like you get those motorbikes at arcades where you like hop onto it and you actually lean and everything to control the game. And then you get those sim racing rigs where you hop into the seat and they can have a like a motion activation in the seat itself, so you can get that feedback, and the steering and all that. Like I've seen a lot of people doing that, and I must tell you, I would love to get a little sim racing rig, a little sim racing chair and wheel and everything, and get a nice big screen for it. And I would love to do it, or I'd do it with my VR headset. And then flight sims, just because I personally like love flying and I really enjoy it. Like No Man's Sky was an amazing hit for me because of the flying capability. But I definitely think like, so there is 100% a place for simulators, and I do think they are worth it, especially for people who are in the industry, like for training for like pilots and things, and race car drivers and stuff. It's used a lot for them as well. But for a personal like home user just looking for entertainment, I think it's definitely very much up to like what you are able to sink into it, because it's ultimately a hobby. Like with gaming, it's a hobby. So it's a matter of how much you're able to sink into it and being able to make sure it doesn't become an addiction and a problem for you, where it can actually be it can downgrade the rest of your quality of life because you're either spending too much, or you're spending too much money or time in the simulations. It does definitely have that danger of pulling you in and completely absorbing you and like taking up everything of you. So I definitely think they are worth it, just as long as you don't let it go too far.
I think they're like tattoos
Mm-hmm.
because It's sort of a thing of I don't see myself getting tattoos apart from the one I have.
Yeah.
That's a different story. But
But you got a
so
nice little
it's sort of
sexy
like
tramp stamp there.
some people. Yeah, I have a tramp stamp. If you want to know the story, I have a tramp stamp on my butt.
Nice.
Yeah. Not gonna go into any more detail about that, but
We'll leave it there.
when it comes to like those racing sims, if it's your thing, go for it.
Exactly, yeah.
For me, racing sims are like tattoos. I don't much care for tattoos. I'm not going to spend money or time and energy to get tattoos. But there are people who love having tattoos and they love getting tattoos, and that's their thing. So if it's something you enjoy, of course you want a nice experience doing the thing you like. So go balls
Yeah.
to the walls. And I think there's also two different categories here, because like that guy who did the custom thing, to be more immersed, I can tell you now he did it more because he loves doing the custom things. It's like if you
Yeah.
watch Jay 2 Cents on YouTube, right now he's building an engine block, a
As a
PC,
PC, yeah.
in a piece in an engine block, and it's going to go next to his sim racing rig. And I think for a guy like that, he enjoys his racing games in the rig, and he should do it. But he also enjoys taking the time and energy to do and make something like that excites him.
Exactly.
So I think that's the sort of thing it is for. But for your average Joe, no. I think it's not something your average Joe should be doing. I also think don't invest time and money into it until you've tried it a bit. Like, get a second-hand steering wheel, just like a cheap second-hand steering wheel that plugs into your computer, and do a racing game, for instance. And if you enjoy it, then look at spending more time and energy into it. I think that's why a lot of people fall short. It's something that I'd fall short with a lot of things, not necessarily racing sims and that, where I just go balls to the walls. And it's something I learned over like the last 2 or 3 years. Don't just go balls to the walls. Like, dip your toes in,
Yeah.
and then just like build up
Ease
a
into
little
it.
bit by little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they do have their place, and like most things we've gone over in this videos, like everything from exosuits to racing sims, they have their place.
They just need to stay in their place.
Not everything. Yeah.
Keep in your lane, bud. Like.
Does the chat have any more questions for us?
Yeah, chat. Have you any more questions? Any topics you want us to address? Any things? Can I present a topic? Yeah, feel free.
If we don't talk about it now, we must just put it in next week or next podcast one. Because I don't know if we're going to do this once a month, once every second week, every week. Obviously, we've got to look at this one and see where it went right, where it went wrong, and make changes. Because this is our first one.
Yeah, this is the pilot after all. Hence the name for it. Gaming addiction. Gaming addiction is a topic. That's we might have to bring that in for another podcast because that is going to be a pretty big topic.
Okay, I'm just going to WhatsApp these to you so that I have them on my list.
Sure.
So when I make the next list, I can just send it. So gaming addiction.
And then there was also Astro posed one earlier, which was what distinguishes art from what is not art. What is art? What is not art?
I think we can just do that as a art in video games and what qualifies as art.
Yeah. New games coming out. There's a lot of new games coming out. Are you talking specifically games that are exciting us and look interesting?
Kena Bridge of Spirits. Halo Infinite. Those are the only 2 games I've been excited for in a long time.
There is... Okay, so the game I'm most excited about, like even with everything that I've seen coming out, the game I am most excited for is Dying Light 2. I'm very, very excited for that. I loved Dying Light 1. I know a lot of people hated it with the movement and everything. I personally loved the parkour in that game. I loved the movement. I loved the decisions you could make with certain things. The game wasn't very decision bound, but the second one's apparently supposed to be massively decision bound, much like Dishonored. So I'm very, very excited to see when Dying Light releases. I'm very excited for that. But it's being delayed and delayed and delayed, and it's annoying the shit out of me.
Thank you, COVID.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you, the mighty human
Any more
Malware.
questions, or can I round this off?
Yeah. Any more questions, chat? Yeah. What is exciting for game updates too? Game updates can be tricky. There's a lot.
The problem is, I don't think, especially with like the audience that watches my channel, and I don't think with any audience in this, it'd be a little difficult for us to focus on any games. And if you do just general game updates, you've got how many hundreds of thousands of games getting updates every week on Steam and PlayStation, Xbox, and all your different platforms like Epic Game Store. And EA Origin, and I think it's a lot of things to track. Definitely, if we find games that are coming up like a lot, so the chat mentions them a lot, I think we can definitely cover
Yeah,
game
100%.
updates in that.
We
I
are
think that's a great idea.
chat. We are keeping note of everything you're saying. We are keeping note of all the topics you're presenting for us. We will be bringing these topics into future podcasts. Don't worry. One I saw that was just suggested that does look very interesting is, and I have an idea of what he might be talking about, is how can a game, and I do have an idea for this, how can a game earn a second chance after a poor launch?
Are we talking about things like the original Master Chief Collection, or something as drastic as No Man's Sky?
That's what I was going to bring up. Is for me No Man's Sky. You agree with that one? Nice.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a future topic.
That's definitely going to have to be a future topic. But to put a little bit of a seed in the works. I definitely think with something like with No Man's Skies, it was something very interesting. But with that, it was more and Cyberpunk. For that, it was they overpromised the release, and then they overpromised and underdelivered.
Okay, I'm just gonna butt in.
Yeah.
My storage is almost full on my recording, so I'm gonna end the recording now. Do a quick outro, and I'm happy to sit and stream and keep with the questions.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I spoke to my microphone there.
No worries.
Thanks for watching. This podcast is going to be a VOD, so if you're watching the VOD, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of it. Go check out Bulthizarro's social media. I will be sure to link his Discord server and his Twitter and his Twitch channel down below. If I don't do that, please remind me. But be sure to give him a check out and tell me anything you think, any future topics you'd like us to see us discuss. Just let us know down below. And I'm just going to stop the recording.
Awesome. And then now with the recording out of the way, because this VOD is also going to be uploaded onto Luke's YouTube channel. Definitely do go and check that out. I should have it still copied. Yeah, there we go. Go and check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hell of a nice dude. As you can see, we're having a good chat. Definitely go check out his channel. This is going to be live there, or this is going to be on there as well if you want to rewatch this.
Not live, that's a VOD.
That's a VOD, yeah, sorry. My bad. I told you, I got the stupid. We established that before we started the stream. I have the stupid. Okay? I have the stupid.
You got the stupid, I got the clumsy.
Exactly. We're a perfect match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, so game updates, Angelic, I saw you did mention the Apex update earlier. I don't know. I personally haven't seen anything with the Apex update. I know Astro has been bugging me to try it out with him, and I do need to try it out with him. Luke, I don't know. You've played Apex.
I have. I stopped following Apex recently. I think the last I heard they were revealing the beta footage of the Titan pilots.
Oh yeah.
I'm not too sure what happened after. I just stopped. Like my phone actually got stolen, and I stopped following half the news topics I used to follow on that, and I'm slowly getting back into it. But Apex is just one of those top games that I didn't quite put straight back onto my list of topics to follow.
Yeah, 100%.
Be something I'll check out though.
Yeah, definitely something we still need to check it. Cough, cough. Yeah, it's. Yeah, for Apex specifically, I personally haven't been keeping up to date with it, but I think we'll definitely do something interesting with it. After this podcast, we will have another stream, so when we do end off here, be sure to come check that out again. We will be live again just now. Just got to do things like have dinner and go to the bathroom and all that stuff. But yeah, chat, anything else you want us to cover? Anything else you want us to add? Luke, anything else you want to add to the discussion?
No, not that I can think of.
I think it's been a pretty good pilot episode so far. We've been doing all right, I think, running almost 2 hours strong. It's impressive. Like, wow, I genuinely thought we'd only been like an hour now, but clearly longer.
Over one.
Yeah. But yeah, yikers, there's a double dip of content. What?
A what?
A double dip of Dark Side, what do you mean, friend? What do you mean, my friend?
Are you dipping your ice cream into too many different ice cream dips?
Are you... Dude, I used to okay, completely off topic here, right? Steer's ice creams. You know how they would dip the cone for you? I was that guy that I would pay the extra £6 just to have them dip it in all of them. Like chocolate then caramels.
You can ask them to do that?
Yeah, dude. I also used to ask them to make, you used to get the Choc 99 where it was just the flake in it. I'd get them to do the flake and then dip it in caramel for me.
Okay, I might be going to the Steers down the road.
And this is and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of how yours truly became the fat blob that he is today.
I'm bony. I'm jealous.
Listen, bro, we can't be jealous of each other's body type here. This is not how this works. Yeah, Steers is the heckin' best.
For my V-line.
Imagine overfeeding people after the content drought that is your stream schedule. Listen, Darkside, listen. I'm trying. We're putting an effort in.
It's difficult to be consistent making content.
Yes.
And it's sort of like with me, when I initially started my YouTube channel, I had over 100 recordings that I was not happy with, and it took me forever to upload one. I uploaded one, and for like 8 months, it was super easy for me to make content. Like, I just wake up, make a video, it's fine. Then I stopped for a while. And now for me to make videos again, to consistently do it is difficult. For me to sit down and do this podcast, this is motivation I haven't had in a long time to do it. This is drive. And it also comes down to like self-discipline. It's difficult to be consistent with making content.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever make content for a living, and it's purely because consistency is the issue. Whereas going to work every morning at a normal job, it's kind of easier to be consistent and getting work done.
Because you have to do
something
it.
like content creation isn't.
Because it's not something you have to do, it's something you need to want to do very heavily. Definitely. Kitty Kayla in chat says, "Hey, Lukey."
Hi, Kayla.
Is that the bear?
No.
Okay.
Kitty Kayla is one of my friends who I've played games with from time to time.
Oh, nice. Okay. Hello, friend. Just me out here throwing out really bad assumptions. Consistency is difficult in my experience.
Going to comment on Twitch. I don't think she's ever accessed Twitch until I sent her the link like an hour or two ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Another topic Darkside brings up is, what issues do you face in creating content? Like, what is the thought process and what really goes through your mind before putting something out there on a public platform? That's a very interesting topic. This can be reserved for next session.
It can. But I'll put it to you this way. Everything.
Everything.
Like, I've had thoughts about it being too... I've had thoughts where I've been like, I'm way too confident. I'm coming off as an asshole. I've had thoughts, I don't know what I'm going to make this week. And I've had weeks where I have 1,000 video ideas. And then when it comes to actually putting together, it falls apart. But like, I have tremendous respect for people who create content for a living, as opposed to someone like me who does it because it's a hobby and it's fun.
Yeah.
Because those guys, they go through some ups and downs, and I have no idea how they overcome it.
Yeah, it's intense.
Like, if I ever overcome it and I get the opportunity to do this for a living, I probably would jump on it.
Yeah, same.
But I'm well aware that it might not be what I end up doing, because there are just so many things that go through your head every time you want to post a video. And I think the worst is when you haven't posted in a while, or when you're first posting, because your mind, you don't know what to expect, and your mind does everything to like sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
And if you get over that, like, and you manage to remain consistent, it's really, really good. But if you do what I did, and you took like a what was supposed to be a 3-week gap to settle into a new job, and then jump full steam ahead into a relationship, and just life happens, because I stopped making content, I had this like 7-month drought, and ever since then it's been inconsistent after that drought.
Yeah.
So that for me is a big thing, but I'm not too worried about that, because this is my job, this is my hobby, this is something I do because I enjoy it. but it's something I think everyone should try. I think everyone should try make content, whether it's for TikTok or YouTube or whatever. I think everyone should throw their hand at it. And if you
Yeah.
only ever do one video and it doesn't do well, that's fine. If it doesn't do well in the first one, you can always keep going. A lot of people that they didn't pick up till they've been doing it for like 5 years. But it's really a roller coaster.
It
When you want
very
to be
much
consistent.
it very
I've
much
been a lot
is.
happier since I have been inconsistent because I'm no longer trying to nail it out. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I do want to jump back into consistent videos.
Yeah.
I just need to decide what is worth my time on a weekly basis. Because my videos, it's 2 to 3 full work days worth of work. And I'm working a full-time job. I can't always do that. Some of my videos I pop out in an hour. And those I could easily do every time. But that's not the videos I want to do every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I don't consistently upload. I want to consistently upload, but there are a lot of things that I put ahead of making videos, and I made that choice to put it ahead of making the videos, which is on me. If I really decide to do this full time, I'd need to stop putting those things ahead of my videos.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is a little bit different for me because we're following different avenues of content creation. YouTube's a lot more refined. You want it to be the standard of content on YouTube is a lot higher. Whereas Twitch,
More
it's
grainy
still
cameras.
whereas with Twitch, there's still a high standard of content, but it's not seen as much of a refined platform as YouTube. So with Twitch, it's not so much coming up with ideas for content, that sort of thing. It's more energy. With being live, you've got to uphold a constant persona, because you don't want to be the sad, droopy, dead dude. Like, it may work for some people. Maybe they're funny when they're like that, but you need to keep a certain level of energy on stream. And I can say, as someone who's trying to do streaming, it does get difficult some days having that energy and wanting to push for that stream and being able to feel entertaining while you're streaming. It's a very difficult thing to navigate. But with YouTube, there's a lot more planning and there's a lot more work that goes into each individual video, because it's not just the scripting of a video, the setting up a video, the preparing for a video. It's once you've recorded the video and you've done the video, however many takes it's taken you to do that, you've then got to go and work on the video afterwards. You've got to edit it. You've got to post-produce it till the point where you believe it is ready to go onto YouTube. Then it's an upload and it's waiting for any form of feedback, seeing how the video's responded, how it's doing. And it can be quite stressful waiting to see how something's reacted. I think that is, for me, one of the benefits of being live is you can see, hey, there's people chatting. I'm keeping people entertained, I'm keeping people engaged. But for videos, it could be quite a bit trickier. Definitely.
Also, with your live streaming, you have an immediate turnaround.
Exactly.
Your chat is saying, listen, this is sucking, or you just see people bouncing out and you immediately know, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah, I'm doing something all right.
Change that you've made, you need to go back to what you're originally doing or try a different change. Whereas if I release a video that is like anywhere between 3 and 24 hours of work down the drain.
Yeah.
Not necessarily down the drain, because I can still learn from it, but it's work that it's there, it's gone. I'm not getting the normal benefit out of that work. I'm not seeing how it performs like live when I'm doing it and being able to make a change on the fly. Whereas when you're live, you've got that direct interaction all the time. Live streaming is also more intimate. Typically, your audience is smaller, but you engage with them a lot more. With my videos, like I do my best to respond to each and every comment. I think 90% of the comments that have been put on my videos, I've personally responded to those comments with another comment, or if someone's hit me up on Twitter, I've personally responded with. But that's it. It's not as much. Whereas with a live stream, 80% of your audience is getting direct engagement with you.
Yeah.
You're reading their comments out loud in the video. You are bouncing off their ideas straight away. Someone leaves a comment on your video and you say, oh, that's a great idea, but you misunderstood it, they might pick up on it and you can actually have a discussion about it. Whereas someone leaves a comment on my video, I'm like, that's a good idea, I'll try that, but I misunderstood it and it's not what they meant to tell me at all.
Yeah, and now your next video has just annoyed them because they see you trying to do their idea, but you've like butchered it. Live in the now is key, and go with the motions, the ocean. You definitely have to roll with the punches, like with everything that's going on. You have to see how people are reacting. Like, some people aren't gonna like you, some people aren't gonna like the content you're producing, and you got to learn to live with that. But there are also going to be those people who appreciate you for all the videos that you're doing, all the effort you're putting in, and it's those people that make it that much more worth it for us. I mean, for me personally, I think you might agree with me here. It's when you get those people who are genuine, like, oh my gosh, thank you for doing this, or, you know, you've made my day better, that sort of thing. It genuinely warms your heart. You feel like you've made someone's life better from what you've done.
For me, it was, I get that feeling when it's happened a few times, not too often, but a few times where it's like I did a webcam review and I did a one-handed keyboard review, and once it was a guy asked a question and he was in the comments, I was able to answer, and he's like, "Oh, that's great! It helps me so much." That made me feel good. And then another one where my webcam review, like this guy's like, "Thank you so much! You just saved me like $300." I'm like, that made me feel good because I knew what I was doing was providing value.
Yeah.
And that's what I want my videos to do for other people, to provide value, whether it is something you laugh at or you find it informative or it helps you make a better decision. That's what I want my content to do.
Yeah.
For other people, for me myself, it's therapeutic. To the whole process of making a video, from conceiving the idea, sort of like drawing the idea out to get a more direction, doing my research, which for a lot of my videos I've done a shit ton of research, and you wouldn't think it, but I've literally sat for hours doing research on a single topic. Then it's writing the script, sitting down, recording it, doing a million takes because there was a freaking car in the background or the dog's barking and it just ruined my audio. People barge into my room and I have to like scrap it. I don't say anything that follows my script, or I mumble a lot. I do that quite a bit, especially like I feel like now I might be mumbling because I'm talking more run-on sentences.
Yeah.
So after a million takes, you sit, you edit, and always try new things with my editing. I find very therapeutic. So
Yeah.
when I started, it used to just be slap the footage together, cut out the parts that I don't want on YouTube because someone gave their real name while I was playing the game or something. Or what I said was just like inaudible, and then stick it out. But now I sit there, I play a little bit with like color correction, balancing my audio levels, doing a bit of EQ, doing things like animations when I transitions between scenes, for example. Like playing around with those things is also like, for me, it's therapeutic. And I feel like I benefit from it because I learn more as I do it.
Yeah. 100%. Definitely. It is, like, for us at least, it is still a hobby. It is still, like, granted, we would love for it to kick off and it become, you know, our whole career. But for us right now, it is still a hobby. It is still a way to get away from our current job and like all the shit going on. It's a nice way to get away from everything. Dark Side again brings up another topic, or another interesting talking point, and I would like if you could take this one while I go to the bathroom. What things have you learned from content creation in the long run? And if there was something you could change about your early content, what would it be? I'll be right back.
My early content, I would have experimented more. But also for me, my early content is not the content I necessarily uploaded onto YouTube. My early content is those 200 or 300 times I tried to make videos. I wouldn't change it, apart from the fact that I'd want to maybe experiment more, maybe be a bit more at ease to experiment, because now, like, this podcast is brand new for me. I'm experimenting now and I'm enjoying it. I feel like doing this podcast, and today I started filming a vlog type video, which I've never really done much before. And doing those two things, I'm experimenting, sort of keeping me going, and I feel like I can actually upload again. So as far as early content, yeah. As far as lessons I've learned, self-discipline is far more important than motivation. When you are relying on being motivated to do something, it's It's never going to work out for you. Motivation is temporary. Self-discipline is permanent. I've
100%.
realized I've needed to work on my self-discipline a crap ton to get videos out. When I was doing videos every week, that a good third of the time I just I wanted to make a video, but I was too hurtful. I just felt ugh. And it was discipline that pushed me to make my video and get a video out every week. But self-discipline also requires being constant. It's something I've learned more recently,
Yeah.
especially after that big content drought I mentioned, where I just stopped uploading because I stopped doing it constantly and I lost my self-discipline. And for me right now, my struggle is to get back into the self-discipline while still juggling the rest of life and remembering that this is my hobby. So this can't be my whole life because it's not going to pay my rent. It's not going to get me a car. It's not going to put food in my belly at the moment. But it's still something I want to do. So it's striking a balance as well is another thing that I've been learning more from life in general, but the content creation has definitely come into play there. I learned that I had zero balance like with my last relationship. I gave everything into that relationship to my own detriment. Part of me often blames doing that as to why part of my content drought, where I just didn't post for months. What was supposed to be like a 2-3 week gap just lasted forever. But that's because I prioritized other things in life, like I said earlier. So yeah, there are lots of lessons to be learned, but I think also a lot of them you learn from work and life in general. It's going through life. I mean, we are both quite young. We're both in our 20s.
Yeah.
We don't know much about life. We are still learning.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think content creation, you learn from it just by doing anything else where you experience life. It's just about doing more things and experiencing more things that you're going to learn these things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. Like, it is. I am very guilty of it personally, where you're just like you said, you're hurtful and you don't feel like doing it. You're just not in the mood to do it. And that happens. I'm very guilty of that with my streams. That's why Docs, I was saying in chat, we have a drought of your content for a little while now. You overload us with content. You go through these stages where you're just like, I don't have the energy to do this. I'm not in the mood to do this. I just can't do it.
You also don't have a boss or a client pushing you to do it the same way.
Exactly.
The community can get on your case, but they can't push you the same way a boss or a client can push you.
Exactly.
Which is the difference between content creation and the job that I do to pay my bills.
Yeah, exactly. Like my viewers constantly give me shit for my consistency, but it's not like, I can always come back and carry on streaming. If I just sort of, take a day where I just don't do any work, my boss will fire me, and I can't exactly just go back the next day because now I'm in the mood to do work and start doing it. Whereas with the content creation, we have that capability. We have that.
Self-discipline becomes the thing.
Exactly.
At work, your boss
is your
client is 50% of self-discipline and 50% of it is you. Whereas now it's 100% me to push out a video. It's 100% Bulthizarro to start a live stream, to remember to tweet something out, to post something on Instagram. It's 100% the content creator. There isn't a boss pushing you.
Exactly.
There isn't a mad client. The closest thing you have is your viewers or your audience. But at the end of the day, they're not a boss. They're not a client who's paid you for some work.
Exactly.
The dynamic is quite different.
It is very much like trying to start up a business. You've got to have the self-drive and the will and the self-motivation to actually get it started and get it going. Because once the ball's rolling, once you're in a routine already, and once you've gotten used to doing things, it becomes a bit easier. But it's that initial start to get going. For me, I feel like once I've got that flow going, I feel it's a lot easier. But you do have to keep that constant reminder in the back of your head, the only person who's going to make this succeed is me, and if I'm not doing it, it's not going anywhere. Kind of thing. Tashim in chat says, "Hey, love." I'm assuming that is Bear. Okay. Well, I'll be very careful this time. Tashim, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. What about teaching others? Mm,
Well, it depends what you want to be taught. I have
yeah,
taught a number of friends how to do something with like OBS just to record. Um, I've helped someone with writing things like before because I enjoy writing things. But if you ask me to teach you how to speak to a camera, that's something I'm still learning myself.
yeah, exactly,
I can do it. I don't know if I'm good at it or bad at it, so I don't know what makes me good or bad at it, so I can't teach you how to do that. Um,
exactly.
if you want me to teach you self-discipline, please go get someone with more life experience. That is something.
Fun.
It's a big thing on my list of things I want to improve about myself, but it's something I'm still trying to figure out myself. So it
Mm,
all depends on what you want to learn. Like someone like me, I can teach you a lot about computers. I can teach you a lot about using OBS. But if you want me to teach you how to create content, no, I can help in little bits, but I wouldn't be able to teach you.
yeah. It's also as cheesy and bad as it sounds. Like, if you genuinely want to learn like good facts of wisdom from life, go. If you've got your grandparents, go chat to them about random stuff. If you've got, people much older than you, go and chat to them. They will be able to impart, life wisdom on you that they've learned, that you could still have yet to learn. Obviously, try and stay away from the older people now with human malware roaming around. Let's protect them. But if you can manage to get them onto Zoom or Skype or something, I know that can be sometimes quite a
Content doesn't travel through phone calls.
exactly, or cell towers. But well, that's a story for another time.
Okay, that's going on the topic 5G
Yes.
transmitted diseases.
But yeah, no. So it's you can definitely learn a lot from older people. So try and find out from them. And I know it's always a very nice thing to be able to go to content creators that you follow, content creators that you like, and go to them and be like, hey, listen, what's your key to success? They could tell you, everything that they've done. A lot of creators will tell you that it's luck. A lot of them will. And they could tell you exactly what worked for them, but it might not necessarily work for you. For example, I personally like a content creator called Swagger Souls. His kind of content wouldn't work for me because I don't have that kind of energy. I take it you know Swagger Souls.
Oh, yeah. I prefer fits, but that's how
Yeah.
I found Pegasus. But also that whole thing if it doesn't like apply to you, that's also why I said with my earlier content I would be more liberal with experimenting. Um,
Yeah.
I was told a friend was like, "Oh, you're just the Linus Tech Tips knockoff." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I
No,
mean, I
you your
tried
own
a couple
thing.
videos that were a lot like him. It doesn't suit me. I feel like I need to make more changes if I do that type of video with tech reviews. I think my webcam review, for example, was great because that I focused more on what I learned with my previous reviews. My keyboard review, not a good review. My one-handed keyboard review, I think, is a pretty average review. It's not a bad review. It's a useful review, but that one I tried too much to be like all these other YouTubers I watch, like Bitwit and Jay's 2 Cents and Hardware Connects and Linus Tech Tips. So you need to experiment and you need to find out what works for you. A great guy to check out if you want to learn more about that sort of thing is Harris Heller.
Yes.
Um, Go look for Alpha Gaming on YouTube or type his name Harris Heller. He has 2 YouTube channels that create content at the moment. Alpha Gaming being the one that's got the most, where he speaks about this sort of things. He'll tell you that any content you make needs to come from you, because you'll never get more than one good video out of
Yeah.
imitating other people, unless you do it like satirically, obviously. But for the most part, it needs to be
Satire's a
you.
good
You
way
need
to
to
go.
find something that's your niche. It needs to fit your interests, your passions, and it needs to fit your personality.
Yeah. That's got to be the
Mhm.
biggest thing is use your own personality. You may not see it yourself. Do a couple streams, just be yourself on camera. Don't try pull off a personality that you've seen.
Forget you have a
Try
camera. That's the best advice I
yes,
ever got.
forget that you have a camera. Biggest thing for streaming that I can recommend for you, turn off your view account. Forget there's people there. Obviously, if people are sending messages, respond to them. But just try and, speaking of, we'll get to you in a second, Darkside. Just try and remember that you are producing the content for you right now. You're producing content for others when you're already getting those 10, 15, 20,000 views. That's when you go on what people want you to do for your content while it's still remaining as you. But the biggest thing is, even if you can't see it, just be yourself. Someone will tell you like what your personality is fitting, what they like to see from you and what they enjoy from you, and then lean on that, because that is something you're good at, something you're capable of. I fell victim to the, you know, copy your people. I used to watch a lot of Jacksepticeye. So a lot of my earlier videos were like, hello and what is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Bulthizarro here, you know, kind of thing. It was high energy, trying to mimic that sort of thing. That's not me. I'm a very, like, blunt sort of, I say shit that makes you feel the oof inside, but it makes you laugh.
No, I'm kind of glad you brought up my favorite Irishman, because I think he's the perfect example of this.
Yeah.
If you go watch Jacksepticeye's content, I mean, really go watch his content. Like, focus on him, and watch a large variety of his videos. You'll find, I think I've never found any sort of content creator that I've personally watched come off as genuine as Jacksepticeye.
Yeah.
And there's just this level of genuineness that is straight to him. Anyone impersonating him is never going to get more than one good video.
Yeah.
I can tell you that now, because that is just, like, there is only one Jacksepticeye. That's Sean McGachlin. I don't know how to say it properly, but that's just that there's only one guy who pull that off, and that is him.
Exactly.
And that's the case with pretty much all your big content creators that have done very well for themselves, especially over long periods of time. But, like, learn from them, don't imitate them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap myself off now, because I really need to get going. I haven't had dinner yet, and
No worries.
I've got to prepare for a few things tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for entertaining me on your stream, and
yeah, thanks for coming around. It's quite awesome.
Bye bye.
I think everyone else is also gonna bid their farewell to you.
Subscribe to me on YouTube.
The shameless plug. No, but seriously, go check him out. Here's a link for his channel. Go check him out. Show him some love. But yeah, cheers, man. Thank you for popping around. I appreciate it. Alrighty, whoopsie. I'll try not to tap the microphone. We are gonna Apache coming out here redeeming that hydrate, but listen, okay, you know what? Just for you. We did have one earlier from Angelic. Where was that? I apologize for missing them. We were just trying to focus on the podcast. I think you did redeem it. You redeemed it there, and you redeemed hydrate once, and then you redeemed stretch a few times. Apache, you want to calm down on those hydrates, bro? Like, Jesus. Let me pour the water from it. I'll pour the water from the cup back into my bottle, and then we'll move on from there, right? Okay, we cool with that? We cool with that? Let's get some music going. We are okay. Listen, Apache, buddy, listen. I need to put limits on that. Thank you for reminding me. I need to put a limit on that. Okay. I don't know why it's telling me that no one else is here, but okay. You're gonna need more water. I know, I'll get more water, don't you worry. I will drink on stream, but I just want to get to the other two topics here. Speaking of emulating successful content creators, where do you stand on copying popular content? Think along the lines of Hot Tub Meta on Twitch and Ask Reddit channels on YouTube. Personally, it's you want to try and find your niche. You want to try and find what works for you personally. Now, following that meta might work for you as a content creator, then by all means follow that, but it's a matter of finding what works for you personally and what your fan base, if you have one, is willing to watch and is willing to follow. As a viewer, you get drowned unless you have the money for the challenges they have. Wait, say again? As a viewer, you get drowned unless you have the money for the challenges they have. How do you mean on that one, Angelic? How do you mean on that one? Let's take off this lid. Okay, that's at least 4 of those, so at least 4 more. Okay, I'll fill up this, because that was about half this bottle, a quarter of this bottle. I'll fill it up again in a bit, don't worry. But yeah, so let me go fill up this water. Let's get some music going so it's not quite so boring. I'll fill up this water. We are going to be streaming again in a little bit, but we're going to be doing some gameplay. I do just need to go make myself some food. I need to make myself some tea and all that stuff and get ready for the next stream. But let's get some music going. Of course, the music I start is going to end quicker than planned. Let me go and get some water quickly, chat. Then we can finish off those hydrates and then we'll end off the stream. Okay, thank you for the follow. Don't make me blurry. There we go. Thank you for the follow, Kitty Kayla. I appreciate you, and welcome to the dungeon. Gosh, Apache, why are you making me drink this much water? Like, why do you have to do this for me? Why do you have to do this to me? That is a lot more than I had just now. I'm not drinking all of this, but I'll do. We said what, 4, 5. I'll give you 5 hydrates. How's that sound? 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I spent well or bottle per hydrate. That's not happening, Chief. That's not happening. Great show, guys. Thank you, Angelic. I appreciate it. We're gonna end off here. I will be live again just now in about an hour or so. So be sure to come check that out. It's gonna be great fun. Actually, I have no idea what we're gonna play, but we're probably gonna play something. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for coming around. It was a great podcast. It was great to have everyone here popping in the questions. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you in a little bit. Cheers all.